Jax's revenge domain. You need to understand your position in this organization, Roger. Garrett Wells didn't even look up when he said it. His fingers were busy straightening papers on his desk, making sure every edge lined up perfect. We were sitting in conference room 3A at Apex Technologies, the one with the broken air conditioning and that persistent smell of burnt coffee that never quite went away. I'm Roger Sullivan, 49 years old, and I've been keeping this company's cybersecurity infrastructure running for 22 years. That morning, I thought I was just going to another routine compensation review. Turns out, I was about to learn exactly what 22 years of loyalty was worth to them. Garrett slid a paper across the table. His watch caught the fluorescent light. Expensive, probably cost more than my monthly car payment. This outlines your updated compensation structure for the upcoming fiscal year, he said, in that flat HR voice they all perfect after years of delivering bad news. I looked down at the document. Senior Infrastructure Architect, 22-year service record. Merit increase, 2.8%. Below that, in smaller print like they hoped I wouldn't notice, compensation aligned with organizational equity standards. I'd seen that phrase before. It was corporate speak for, we've decided what you're worth, and arguing won't change our minds. 2.8%, I said quietly. Correct. That falls within the standard range for senior technical staff. I leaned back in that uncomfortable chair. The Navy taught me patience, how to stay calm under pressure. 22 years in the fleet gave me that discipline. But this wasn't combat readiness or standing watch in rough seas. This was something different, something that felt like betrayal. What about Jason? Garrett's pen stopped moving for just a second. Then he forced a smile that looked like it hurt. I'm not sure what you're asking. Jason Pierce, the new director of security strategy. He started 8 months ago. The smile got tighter. I can't discuss another employee's compensation with you, Roger. You know that. He's making nearly double my salary, isn't he? Garrett set his pen down carefully, buying time. Jason brings different qualifications to the organization. He has an MBA from a prestigious business school. He has strategic vision that aligns with executive objectives. I let those words hang there for a moment. Different qualifications. In the Navy, qualifications meant you could do the job when lives depended on it. You either knew how to operate the radar systems during a storm or you didn't. You could troubleshoot communications equipment under fire or you couldn't. There wasn't any MBA that taught you how to keep a ship's network secure when hostile actors were actively trying to penetrate your systems. And I have 22 years of building every security system this company runs, I said evenly. I've personally stopped at least 24 major breaches that could have shut us down completely. I've saved this company millions in avoided downtime and regulatory penalties. But Jason has an MBA, so that's worth twice as much. Different roles command different market rates, Garrett said, his voice getting that careful HR neutrality. Leadership positions are benchmarked differently than technical positions. So technical expertise is worth half of what a business degree is worth, even when that technical expertise is literally keeping the company secure. Roger, I understand you're frustrated. I'm not frustrated, I interrupted. I'm clarifying. Because it sounds like you're telling me that someone with zero understanding of our security infrastructure, zero experience with our systems, and zero contribution to actually protecting anything is worth twice what I am. I just want to make sure I'm hearing that correctly. Garrett folded his hands on the table. Professional, controlled, unmoved by logic or fairness. We benchmark compensation against external market data. Leadership roles command premium salaries. Credentials matter. Translation, know your place. I thought about my kids, Sarah and Michael, both juniors at State University. Tuition was $28,000 each this year, not counting room and board. I thought about the alimony payments to my ex-wife Lisa, $2,200 every month like clockwork. I thought about the health insurance premiums that kept going up, the 401k that had taken a beating in the last market downturn, the fact that I was 49 years old and supposedly in my peak earning years. Then I reached into my bag. Garrett tensed slightly, probably thinking I was pulling out a legal document or a list of grievances. Instead, I took out a single piece of paper, folded once, and placed it on top of his compensation document. My resignation letter. His eyes dropped to it. I watched the blood drain from his face as he read the first line. Effective immediately, I resign from my position as Senior Infrastructure Architect at Apex Technologies. Roger, he started, voice cracking. I sent a copy to your inbox at 9:04 a.m., I said calmly. You'll see it when you check your email, along with copies to my direct manager, the CTO, and the VP of operations. He blinked at the signature, at the date, at words that couldn't be taken back or negotiated away. You don't need to make this decision right now. This is a significant step. Talk to your manager, sleep on it. We can revisit the numbers. I've been sleeping on it for 22 years, I said, standing up. This is me waking up. Garrett opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. But you told me to understand my position in this organization, I said, picking up my bag. So I do, and my position is somewhere else. I left the resignation letter on the table and walked out. The click of the conference room door closing behind me was the most satisfying sound I'd heard in years. Let me back up and tell you how a quiet, underpaid cybersecurity architect and one dismissive sentence in an HR meeting turned into the most expensive 36 minutes in Apex Technologies history. My name is Roger Sullivan. I'm 49 years old, divorced, father of twins who are both juniors in college. I don't have an MBA. I don't have an Ivy League degree. What I have is a computer science degree from a state university, 6 years in the Navy working on ship-based communication systems, and 22 years of institutional knowledge about a cybersecurity infrastructure so complex that it required constant vigilance just to keep it running. The Navy shaped how I approach everything. When you're responsible for keeping a destroyer's networks operational in hostile waters, you learn that lives depend on systems working exactly as designed. You don't get to blame someone else when radar goes down during a storm. You don't get to make excuses when encrypted communications fail while you're operating in contested airspace. You fix it, document what went wrong, and make sure it doesn't happen again. That discipline served me well when I started at Apex Technologies in 2002, right after I finished my degree on the GI Bill. Back then, they were a mid-sized defense contractor trying to compete with firms 10 times their size. On paper, they provided cybersecurity solutions for government agencies and critical infrastructure. In reality, they ran a collection of security systems held together with outdated protocols, manual processes, and the desperate prayers of 2 exhausted engineers. The company had contracts with the Department of Defense, the Department of Energy, and several state governments. Their networks handled classified information, critical infrastructure monitoring, and financial data for major municipalities. When those systems went down, real people got hurt. Power grids could fail. Emergency services could lose communications. Financial markets could freeze. My interview was with Harold Peterson, the CTO at the time, who'd built his career on actual technical work before getting promoted into management. He understood that cybersecurity wasn't just about installing software and hoping for the best. Can you keep this infrastructure from falling apart? He asked, gesturing at a whiteboard covered in network diagrams that looked more like a crime scene than a system design. Depends, I said. Can I actually fix things, or will I just be putting out fires? If you can justify the changes, he said, you can make them. He hired me that afternoon. For the first month, I just observed. I sat in on incident calls, read post-mortem reports, traced network flows, talked to the engineers who'd been there long enough to know where all the problems were buried. The pattern was clear. Reactive management, no proactive monitoring, and documentation that was either missing or dangerously outdated. The second month, I started documenting failure patterns. Not theoretical vulnerabilities, but real failures that had actually happened. Every time something broke, I wrote it down. What failed, why it failed, what the warning signs were, whether the fix actually worked or just delayed the next failure. I kept a physical notebook because digital documentation has a way of disappearing when budgets get tight or priorities change. By the third month, I'd identified 15 critical vulnerabilities in our infrastructure. I documented them, quantified the risk, estimated the cost to fix versus the cost of failure. When I presented it to Harold, he asked the only question that mattered. How much to fix all of this? 12 months of dedicated work, I said, and the authority to push back when people want shortcuts. You have both, he said. I rebuilt the monitoring infrastructure first, because you can't fix what you can't see. Created dashboards that showed not just whether systems were working, but how close they were to failure. Error rate trends, performance degradation patterns, capacity projections, all the early warning signs that let you prevent disasters instead of just responding to them. Then I rebuilt the security protocols properly. Real redundancy, automated failover, comprehensive logging. By the end of year 1, we had actual visibility into our network. By year 2, I'd trained 3 junior engineers on proper incident response. By year 3, I was the person everyone called when things went sideways, not because I was officially on call, but because I was the only one who'd seen these specific attack patterns before. I became the institutional memory nobody wanted to admit they depended on. And for a while, that was fine. The company grew. We added more government contracts, more complexity. Revenue increased from $45 million to $180 million over my tenure. The board was happy. Executives got their bonuses. I got a 3.1% raise and a coffee mug that said "World's Most Valuable Player." I didn't complain, not because I didn't care, but because I believed that eventually competence would be recognized. That good work would be rewarded. That loyalty would be returned. That was my first mistake. The shift started 3 years ago when Apex decided it needed to professionalize its leadership structure. That was the phrase used by the new CEO, Stephen Cole, former Silicon Valley executive brought in by the board to scale the business. Stephen loved words like synergize and digital transformation and strategic realignment. He did not love words like technical debt or legacy systems or that's going to break if we don't address it first. Within 6 months of Stephen taking over, the company started hiring differently. Less emphasis on people who understood how things worked, more emphasis on people who could make things sound impressive in board meetings. We got directors with MBAs who'd never written a line of code. We got VPS who could talk about driving operational excellence but couldn't explain what a firewall actually did. We got consultants billing $500 an hour to tell us we should leverage cloud-native paradigms. And we got Jason Pierce, MBA from a top-tier business school, 5 years at a strategy consulting firm, 0 cybersecurity background. His title, Director of Security Strategy. His job, align security initiatives with business objectives and drive strategic modernization of legacy infrastructure. Translation, make everything sound good in PowerPoint presentations while people like me did the actual work. I discovered the pay disparity by accident, and it hit me like a physical blow. I was looking for a technical document Brandon Walsh had promised to upload when I clicked the wrong file. Jason Pierce's offer letter. Base salary, $164,000. Signing bonus, $25,000. Annual bonus target, 20%. Stock options, 15,000 shares. I stared at those numbers for a long time, then I opened my most recent pay stub. Base salary, $89,200, no signing bonus. Annual bonus target, 5%, which I'd received exactly twice in 22 years. Stock options, 1,500 shares from my original offer, nothing since. 8 months at the company, 0 cybersecurity knowledge, 0 systems saved from catastrophic failure, making 84% more than I was. The math was simple, and it was devastating. I closed both files and sat there in my cubicle for a very long time, staring at nothing. The office buzzed around me, keyboards clicking, phones ringing, people discussing projects that suddenly seemed meaningless. I felt like I was watching it all through glass. That evening I went home to my empty apartment and did something I hadn't done in 6 years. I updated my resume. Really updated it, not just the annual courtesy refresh for HR files. I documented every major system I'd built, every crisis I'd prevented, every innovation I'd implemented that saved the company money or reduced risk. The list was longer than I expected. The intrusion detection system that caught the Chinese state-sponsored attack in 2019. The network segmentation project that prevented the ransomware outbreak from spreading in 2021. The encryption upgrade that kept us compliant when new federal requirements hit in 2022. The monitoring system overhaul that reduced false alarms by 87% while catching 23% more actual threats. I sent my resume to 3 recruiters I'd been ignoring for years. Within 48 hours, my phone was ringing. Within 2 weeks, I had 4 serious offers. Within 3 weeks, I'd accepted one. Principal Security Architect at Secure Vault Solutions, $148,000 base salary, 18% bonus target, real stock options. All I needed was the right moment to leave Apex. Garrett gave it to me. By 9:12 a.m., my security badge had been flagged for deactivation. By 9:18 a.m., my system access was being revoked across 27 production environments. By 9:23 a.m., I'd cleared my desk, boxed up my monitor and the coffee mug that said select asterisk from problems where solution is null, and walked past 4 colleagues who suddenly became very interested in their keyboards. By 9:31 a.m., the first critical alert started screaming. Here's what most people don't understand about complex cybersecurity infrastructure. It's not like a car where you can pop the hood and see what's broken. It's more like a human body. Interconnected systems that depend on each other in ways that aren't always obvious. When something goes wrong, the symptoms can show up anywhere, and finding the root cause requires knowing how all the pieces fit together. I'd been that institutional memory for 22 years. Every weird configuration choice, every undocumented dependency, every workaround that had become critical infrastructure. It was all in my head, backed up by that physical notebook I kept locked in my desk drawer. The notebook they didn't know existed. By 9:38 a.m., every engineer in the building was in emergency mode. The primary intrusion detection system was throwing cascading errors, not complete failure. That would have been obvious. Instead, it was degrading slowly, missing threats while generating false positives at an exponential rate. Brandon Walsh, the junior engineer I'd been mentoring, was on call. Poor kid was 26 years old with 18 months of experience, suddenly responsible for systems he'd only seen from the outside. He checked the runbook I'd written 3 years ago, but the runbook covered normal failure modes. This wasn't normal. What was happening was a memory leak in the threat analysis engine, triggered by a specific combination of network load and data processing patterns. I'd seen it exactly once before, 14 months earlier, during a particularly heavy attack simulation. I'd documented the solution in my notebook, along with the monitoring queries needed to detect it early. The notebook that was now sitting in the trunk of my car. Brandon escalated to Diana Martinez, our senior security analyst. Diana was good, smart, dedicated with 8 years of experience. But she'd never seen this particular failure mode because I'd fixed it quietly the last time, added some monitoring to catch it early, and moved on to the next crisis. Diana did everything right. She opened multiple terminal sessions, examined log files, looked for patterns. She could see the symptoms, response times increasing, false positive rates climbing, threat detection accuracy dropping. But she couldn't see the cause. At 10:15 a.m., Jason Pierce walked into the operations center. In my mind, I could picture him perfectly. Pressed khakis, button-down shirt, that slight smile that said he was about to solve everything with business process optimization. "Why is the dashboard red?" he asked. "We're investigating a performance issue with the intrusion detection system," Diana replied, not looking up from her screens. "Investigating doesn't help our government contracts. Can't you just restart it?" I can only imagine the look Diana gave him. In cybersecurity, just restart it is like a surgeon saying, just cut it out without knowing what it is. You can make things much worse very quickly. "We need to identify the root cause first," Diana said. "If we restart without understanding the problem, we could lose critical log data or trigger a cascade failure in dependent systems." "How long will that take?" "I don't know. This isn't a standard failure mode." Jason pulled out his phone. "I'm calling Stephen." Stephen Cole arrived 8 minutes later. I knew him well enough to picture his reaction, the carefully controlled expression that meant he was calculating political damage, the way he'd scan the room to identify who he could blame if this became a public relations problem. "Where's Roger?" he asked, the question I'd been waiting for. "He resigned this morning," Jason said, "over a compensation issue. I would have paid money to see Stephen's face in that moment." "You let him walk today?" "I didn't let him do anything," Jason said defensively. "He made an irrational decision. Stephen left immediately." I know because at exactly 9:47 a.m., 36 minutes after I'd placed that resignation letter on Garrett's desk, Stephen Cole was standing outside my apartment building, knocking on my door like someone whose entire world was falling apart, which, technically, it was. "Roger," he said, not bothering with pleasantries when I opened the door. "We need you back immediately." I looked at him through the gap in my doorway. His normally immaculate suit was wrinkled, tie loosened, hair disheveled. This was a man who prided himself on control, on having contingency plans for contingency plans. Seeing him rattled was almost worth 22 years of being undervalued. Almost. "I don't work there anymore," I said. "I know, but our defense contract systems are completely down. The Pentagon is asking questions. We can't process any classified data. Nobody can figure out why." "That sounds like your problem, not mine." His jaw clenched. "Roger, please. Just for today. We'll pay you. Consulting rate, Whatever you want. I shook my head slowly. No. Why not? Because 36 minutes ago, your company made it very clear what I'm worth to them. So now you get to learn what your systems are worth, without me. I closed the door and turned the deadbolt. Stephen knocked 3 more times, each series more desperate than the last. Then I heard his footsteps retreating down the hallway, probably back to his car, back to a crisis that was getting worse by the minute. I made myself a cup of coffee and sat down to fill out onboarding paperwork for Secure Vault Solutions. My phone buzzed with text messages, missed calls, Slack notifications from an emergency incident channel someone had added me to despite my access being revoked. I ignored all of it. The outage lasted 16 hours. I didn't watch it happen in real time, but I heard about it later from Diana, who was still willing to talk to me after everything settled. Here's what I missed. By 2 p.m., 3 major government contracts were at risk. The Pentagon had sent an official inquiry about service disruption. The Department of Energy was threatening to suspend Apex's security clearance pending investigation. 2 state governments had activated backup cybersecurity protocols, essentially firing Apex as their primary contractor. By 4 p.m., Stephen had called in Cyber Response Solutions, an emergency consulting firm that specialized in infrastructure crisis recovery. The lead consultant spent 3 hours examining our systems and finally admitted what everyone already knew. Without the original architect, this could take days or weeks to fully understand and stabilize. Stephen looked at Mark Rivera, the current CTO who'd replaced Harold Peterson when Harold retired. You're telling me we're dead in the water because one engineer quit? I'm telling you we're dead in the water because we treated that engineer like he didn't matter, Mark said. And now we're learning what happens when he's not here to save us. The consulting firm worked through the night. They brought in 6 specialists, set up a war room, and started systematically going through every piece of our infrastructure. At $750 per hour per consultant, the bill was climbing toward $100,000 before they'd even identified the problem. The breakthrough came at 1:17 a.m., when Brandon finally remembered something I'd mentioned in passing 6 months earlier. There was an old wiki page buried in our internal knowledge base, something I'd written after a similar incident years ago. It took him 2 hours to find it. Critical system dependencies and emergency recovery procedures. It had everything. The memory leak issue, the specific monitoring queries, the exact sequence of steps needed to recover without triggering secondary failures. I'd written it 18 months ago after the last time this happened, and nobody had read it until they had no choice. Brandon followed my documentation step by step. It worked. System stabilized. The consultants packed up and sent a bill for $127,000. The crisis was over, but the damage was done. The aftermath unfolded over the next 8 months, and I watched it from the comfortable distance of my new job at Secure Vault Solutions. Within the first week, 2 major defense contracts worth a combined $52 million were terminated. The Pentagon's security review found concerning gaps in institutional knowledge management and personnel retention practices. Translation: they'd noticed that Apex had let their most experienced cybersecurity expert walk out the door. Stephen called an emergency board meeting. 4 executives were asked to pursue other opportunities. Jason Pierce was quietly reassigned to a strategic advisory role with no budget and no staff. Garrett Wells was terminated for organizational restructuring, though everyone knew it was because he'd managed to lose the most valuable employee in the company over a $25,000 salary difference. Mark Rivera reached out to me 3 weeks after the incident. Professional email, carefully worded. He offered $145,000 base salary, 15% annual bonus, title bump to principal security architect, direct reporting to him instead of through the executive layer. I know we failed you, the email said. I'm asking for a chance to make it right. I read it 3 times. Then I responded, I appreciate the offer, but I've already started at my new company. I'm happy here. I hope you can rebuild your security program successfully. Because I was happy. Secure Vault Solutions was everything Apex wasn't. The CTO, Dr. Patricia Anderson, had spent 15 years doing actual engineering work before moving into leadership. She understood that cybersecurity wasn't a business problem you could solve with strategy meetings and PowerPoint presentations. What's the worst incident you ever responded to? She asked during my final interview. I told her about the Chinese state-sponsored attack we'd repelled in 2019, how I'd tracked the intrusion through 6 different network segments and closed the vulnerability before they could access classified data. She nodded slowly. If you join us, That kind of knowledge won't sit in someone's head or a personal notebook. It'll be documented, shared, and built into our processes. We've learned that talented people leave. When they do, we need to make sure the organization retains what they knew. Starting salary, $148,000. Bonus target, 18%. Stock options, 12,000 shares. But more than the money, it was respect. On my first day, Patricia introduced me to the security team. This is Roger Sullivan. He's joining us as principal security architect. He has more real-world incident response experience than most of us combined. When he tells you something about security, listen, because he's earned that authority through 22 years of keeping critical systems running. No qualifiers. No, he's just a technical person. Just respect. Within 6 months, I'd rebuilt their monitoring infrastructure using everything I'd learned at Apex, but properly documented this time. Within a year, I'd trained 4 other engineers to the point where they could handle major incidents independently. Not because I was trying to make myself replaceable, but because I was building something sustainable. When my first annual review came up, Patricia called me into her office. You've exceeded every expectation we had. We're bumping you to $165,000 base. You're getting the full 18% bonus, and the board approved an additional retention grant of 8,000 stock options. I haven't even been here a year, I said. Exactly. We don't wait until you're walking out the door to recognize what you're worth. We do it while you're here, before someone else tries to recruit you. 2 years after I left Apex, I got an email from Mark Rivera. Subject line, consulting opportunity? Apex was still struggling. They'd hired 3 different security architects to replace me. 2 had left within 18 months. The institutional knowledge I'd carried was still missing, and they were losing contracts because of it. They wanted to bring me in as an external consultant for quarterly security reviews, architecture audits, and knowledge transfer sessions. The proposed rate, $285 per hour. 6-month contract, estimated 120 hours. Total value, $34,200. For context, that was more than my entire annual bonus had been at Apex, for 120 hours of part-time work. I thought about it for 3 days. Then I called Patricia. My old company wants to hire me as a consultant. What do you think? Do you want to help them? Part of me wants to say no on principle. Part of me thinks maybe they've actually learned something. If they're willing to pay you what you're worth now, and they've genuinely changed how they treat people, then maybe it's worth helping them. Not because they deserve it, but because you'll know you took the high road. I did the consulting, not because I needed the money, but because I wanted to see if they'd actually learned. The first session was with the executive team, Stephen, Mark, the new board chair. I presented one slide, the real cost of undervaluing technical expertise. I walked them through the incident, what had failed, why it had failed, why someone with an MBA and no cybersecurity background couldn't have prevented it, why someone with 22 years of institutional knowledge could have. Then I showed them the financial impact, $52 million in lost contracts, $8.7 million in incident response costs, $4.2 million in emergency consulting, regulatory penalties, reputational damage. Total, over $65 million, all because they'd refused to pay me an extra $30,000 per year. The ROI on undervaluing expertise, minus 216,667%. Stephen stared at the slide for a long time. We made a catastrophic mistake. Yes, you did. How do we make sure this doesn't happen again? I spent the next 4 hours teaching them what Secure Vault had taught me, how to value technical expertise, document institutional knowledge, build systems for retention rather than replacement. At the end, the board chair asked me, if you were starting over here, what would you do first? I'd apologize, publicly, to every technical person you've undervalued, and I'd mean it. 2 weeks later, Stephen sent an all-hands email. Diana forwarded it to me with a note. Thought you'd want to see this. 2 years ago, we lost our most experienced security architect because we failed to recognize his value. That failure cost us contracts, credibility, and the respect of our technical staff. We've made changes to compensation, retention, and knowledge management since then. But those changes are meaningless if we don't acknowledge what we got wrong. We undervalued someone who kept this company secure for 22 years. We're committed to never making that mistake again. Today, I'm still at Secure Vault. I'm now Distinguished Security Engineer, the highest technical role in the company. I make $182,000 base salary, My bonus last year was $38,000. When we go public next year, my stock options will set me up for early retirement if I want it. But more than the money, I have something Apex never gave me: respect. When I say something's going to break, people listen. When I document a vulnerability, it becomes required reading. When I suggest we need to slow down and do something right, nobody tells me to understand my position. Because my position is exactly where expertise should be. At the table, with a voice, being heard. Here's the lesson. When someone tells you to understand your position, believe them. They're showing you exactly how much they value you. You can stay and hope things change, or you can leave and let them learn what you were worth. Sometimes it's not about revenge. Sometimes it's just about respect. And when the CEO is knocking on your door 36 minutes later, begging you to come back, that's not victory. That's just confirmation that you were right all along. Your expertise doesn't become more valuable the moment you walk away. It was always that valuable, and the right people knew it. The difference is that some organizations need to lose what they can't afford to lose before they learn to value what they should have treasured.